Come on. Yes, I'm live. Okay, come back to the afternoon session, the sleeping session, the snoozing session. Yeah, which is another one of the important lessons we need to learn to be able to sleep with no guilt during meditation. Yeah. But before I continue, is there any question from what I covered earlier today? So I covered, since today's workshop is about the practice of awareness here and now, how do we get introduced to our own awareness, our own mind? And so I propose this sequence of practices, which I'm going to continue to repeat it, even though we are doing slightly different meditation. Start off with mindfulness of body, so that we invite the bodily sensations to come into our awareness, or what I call our aware space. So we are reconnecting body and mind, and this has a profound effect on the body. Once we reconnect, no matter how we accomplish it, it's almost like the body once again is awakened through this reconnection with our attention, with our mind. And the body sort of figure out that, oh, I'm not in danger. There's no lions, no tigers, no bosses, no irritating people. Maybe I don't need to be so tight and tense, no? And so the body will begin a natural process of just loosening up and unwinding. That is just from mindfulness of body. Without having to do anything, just don't even need to tell it anything, just to notice it. And so that is the first thing we want to accomplish, helping the body to release some, not all, but usually we can accomplish some of them, some of the physical reactivities, right? Which means that we also be able to settle into our meditation posture more comfortably. Then with that release, naturally there is some kind of pleasant feelings that come out. Very mild, very faint, they don't last very long, but still they feels nice. And to be mindful of feelings, in particular pleasant feelings that come out of our meditation. And this has another effect. This helps to calm the mind, reassure the mind. You can just think in this way. If your life is in danger, you are under great distress, it's very hard to experience pleasant sensation. In fact, you wouldn't experience any pleasant sensations. But one of the symptoms of serious depression, clinical depression, is the absence or the inability to enjoy pleasant sensation. You almost don't notice that, which sort of compound the problem. But now that you actually are aware of something nice, something softening, something relaxing, something comforting, it's very reassuring to your mind, right? So mindfulness of pleasant feelings that come out of your meditation, reassure the mind. And what happened to the mind? The mind will start to slow down, starts to calm down, not completely. And so the mind starts to let go of all those reactivity, mental reactivity, usually in the form of thoughts, blah, 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 blah. You will find that maybe your blah, blah is less compulsive, maybe a bit less. Occasionally it stops, which is a strange experience. What happened? Why is it so quiet? Something is missing here. Yeah, it's because the mental chatter, the mental reactivity in the form of thoughts subside temporarily. Okay, so once that happens, naturally it leads to the third type of mindfulness. You're very aware of your mind. You're aware of this space, this mental space, what I call aware space. Suddenly your aware space seems very empty. In fact, so empty that you can hear the slightest of sound, and you can notice the slightest arising of thought. You can even catch a thought about to arise sometimes, which is the Dalai Lama described it as you notice the ripple on the surface of the water when the fish is swimming underneath it. So that slight rippling, a thought is about to arise. Yeah. But that won't happen if your mind is chock-a-block full of thoughts and worries and concerns and movies, self-directed, self-focused movies, all about me, poor me, miserable me, terrible me, the center of the entire universe. Yeah. So when all those subside, then naturally we become mindful of the mind. And also, whatever it is that is appearing or arising and preoccupying our mind, right? So usually people will notice two extremes. One, of course, is the busyness of the mind. How much thought still seems to flow through the aware space occasionally. This is a bit like train spotting. You can think of thoughts as a train because they usually is like carriages, one after another, a big long train that carry your attention to some far away destination. Right? So it's like, and normally when we are not so calm and composed, we get sucked in onto the train. We just board any train that sort of pull into the station of our mind, off we go. When we settle down, we are more in a position of train spotting. We notice the train coming and going, but we are not inclined to get on board. So we say, oh, there's a long train. There's another one. No? So you notice thinking, basically thinking process. And sometimes, of course, your mind could be like central station, like lots of things floating through it. Some days you just couldn't possibly spot all of them. It's all happening at the same time in words, in images, and so on. So that's one extreme. And one of the benefits of mindfulness of the mind and becoming acquainted with our awareness is we really notice this phenomena, the busyness of the mind, the different thoughts that come, especially when you are when you are able to kind of step back a little bit and just notice the thoughts without being so caught up in them. Now, this session, you will notice the other extreme, which of course is the downness of the mind, or drowsiness of the mind, or the sleepiness of the mind, or we might just might actually fall asleep. Yeah. So this is also another function or factor that affect our awareness, our mind. And this is more sneaky, more subtle. It's harder to notice because what happened is the very function of wakefulness and awareness is shutting down. It's like lights off. And or in my case, it's sort of like things starts to the color starts to drain away, and everything seems to get gray and dark, and the space seems to get smaller and smaller. And everything, like just now you mentioned viscosity, right? Everything starts to slow down a little bit. And I always have this feeling in the midst of it, I don't think my brain is fully functioning, which of course is not. The brain is shutting down, going to sleep. And of course, you might eventually approach to the point where the brain just falls asleep. Or more likely for me is I blank out, space out, as you say. So you're not entirely asleep, but you're also not entirely awake. You sort of just park here, and it's this. Some people like this state. It's a blank space, but usually in our tradition, it's not advisable because it's sort of traditionally they say it increases our stupidity. Because basically, we just sort of like we just blank, And blankness is not the same as stillness and calmness. In those cases, you are still awake, you're aware, you're present. This one is you're not 100% or less than 50% present. You just sort of gone blank. And that happened to me quite some time, occasionally, especially when I'm going through these different parts of the body, which I'm going to do maybe in this session. And then I will have space out and I say, oh dear, am I on the right side of the body or the left side of the body? Have I arrived at the hips or have I gone beyond it? Sometimes the blank is so profound. Should I keep talking or should I just keep quiet? Because I have no idea what has just happened. I can't remember. Now that is, we classify that as downness or drowsiness of the mind. And one advantage of becoming more acquainted with our own awareness, our mind. We actually notice all these different things that is influencing our mind. So under this third step, mindfulness of the mind, not only are we aware of our awareness itself, but we are also becoming more in tune as to what is influencing the mind. It's like you think of awareness as space, aware space, as I call it. What is happening in that space? Is it chock-a-block full of stuff, like lots and lots of thoughts? So almost like a hoarder. You can't see any empty space anywhere. It's just everywhere you turn, there's some concerns or some worries or some stories. Or it is so dim and dark inside your aware space. It's as good as lights out, right? Because you can't see clearly. And apart from these two, which are the common obstacles in our meditation, there are occasions where our aware space is consumed by anger, angry thoughts, angry feelings, or can be consumed by sadness or grief. And then, of course, there are also positive states of mind that influence our awareness, so we can be suffused with the gentle warmth of loving kindness, or this open receptiveness of compassion. But sometimes we get very excited, we're very happy. There's this almost a bubbly kind of experience, almost like you are swimming in some effervescent soda water, or some bubbles coming up. Yeah. So the experience can vary, but we are more in touch with those experiences when we are more in touch with the mind itself, the aware space. Okay, so that's what we're going to revisit, and we're going to do with a different technique again. Still going through mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness of mind, and we're going to do a visualization practice. We're going to visualize light, which is traditionally something very helpful for working with downers. I'm not so sure about it, but anyway, that's what they say. But every time I try it, I just fall asleep. I just have a nice snooze. Yeah. But we're still going to try it. And I think this might be helpful for those of us who are more visually inclined, because I'm going to invite you to imagine, with the power of imagination, there's a source of light, like the sun, the space in front of you, above you. Of course, if you are inclined to, you can transform it into like a Buddha figure, if you like, whatever source of light in the metaphorical sense you like, you can do that. I'm just going to stick to this this globe of light, because I get a bit stressful, trying to keep the Buddha all together and with the right number of arms and legs and head. And because once I ever tried too hard, I was really struggling and trying to perfect my visualization. And when I finally managed to get a decent looking Buddha, this is a real story. This is true, right? The Buddha actually stood up in my visualization and walked away. It gets a bit fed up with all this endless struggle and trying to get the ropes right, get the hands right, get the hair right, get everything right. Said, enough of meddling with me. I'm done with this. Yeah. So I said, oh well. So that's it. The other thing is, even though I'm going to ask you to imagine light falling on the body and to visualize, imagine each part of your body receiving the lights and all its positive connotation for you, which can be anything. The light can represent loving kindness, compassion, can represent blessings. If you are inclined to think that way, something really positive come back into you through this visualization. But the fact that we use light is an invitation for your mind to be creative in this way. Sometimes in the light, and it happened to quite a number of people who are visually inclined. Visual images spontaneously suggest themselves in the light. If it's helpful, no problem. Let it sink into your body, sink back into your experience, and bring that images and their deeper significance into your own experience. But of course, I am, through this method, leading you towards contacting our own mind, our own aware space, or in this case, our own visual space. Right? So I invite you to also notice the space through which the light travel, through which the light appear, through which the visual images or dance. You know, it's like recently I had this discussion with a friend. It's like a stage. You're going to watch a play, theater. That is the stage, isn't it? You know, on this stage, actors come on and go off and do whatever it is. Props appear and disappear. You know, backdrop come down and go up. You know, there's this space. But here, I'm inviting you not as an audience to that space, nor to mistaken yourself as the actor in this space. I'm inviting you to be the very space itself, the space of the stage within which you are aware of all these actions and activities unfold. I forgot. I'm sure there is some Shakespearean quote, related to this. Yeah. Shakespeare is a bit strange sometimes from a spiritual point of view. Some of the quotations are deeply spiritual and almost meditative in this description. Yeah. So I'm inviting you to be that space of the stage, which is your aware space, within which all these different actions and activity, or maybe nothing wrong, just an empty stage. How would that feel like? How would that be like? So to be that space, to be that aware space. Okay. Does that sound roughly okay? Good. And if you do fall asleep or about to fall asleep, you have the perfect excuse. This is the opportunity for you to check out the other side of the story. We are acquainted with the agitated, full of thoughts experience. But occasionally, you also need to go the other side to get acquainted what it is like to go towards the lights out, to go towards the space that is filled with drowsiness and downness. It's just an, exchange experience. You go to this land and now you must go to that land. And only by being acquainted with that land, that custom, that experience, will you subsequently become more and more mindful and aware, introspectively aware. Oh, I think I'm spacing out. Mm-hmm. There's all the sign. I'm becoming more stupid. I can't remember anything. I think this is it. This is downness. This is laxity. If you're not acquainted to it, you of course you are oblivious to its presence. So to get to know it, you must go there. So if occasionally you overshot a bit and end up having a nice snooze or nap, it's not a problem. After all, this is probably the best time of the day to have a nap. So don't let the context of meditation impose an unreasonable sense of guilt on you. You can blame me because I choose to make you meditate at this time where you rightfully should have a siesta and have a nice snooze. Yeah. So that is only to be expected. All right. So let's do a meditation. Okay. So I'll guide you through this. Let me just ring this bell to signal the start of the meditation. So as usual, the first step is to help the body to find its way into the meditation posture we have adopted. Be it sitting on the chair, sitting on the ground, or lying down in the supine position, whichever posture we have adopted. See if we can take a few moments, allow the body to make whatever adjustments it has to make to feel comfortable, at ease, and safe in this posture. Become aware of sensations coming through at the points of contact between our body and our seat, our body and the ground, and really allow the body to feel that it is resting on something solid, firm, and stable. Qualities we associate with the great earth, with the ground, and feel that the earth is here to support the body, to hold it up, to keep it safe, so that your body is able to surrender its weight, to rest the weight comfortably on the seat, on the support. And given time, the body will naturally begin to loosen up, to untie, to unwind, to release some of those unnecessary contractions and tightenings. And as the release happens, as we deepen the sense of loosening up and letting go, you'll find that your body can really settle down more and more comfortably into this posture. So I'm going to invite you to use the power of your imagination and to allow to appear in the space of your own mind, this visual space of your own mind. Somewhere in front of you, slightly above, at whatever distance you feel comfortable, a source of light, a source of brightness and radiance. Could be the sun, could be anything actually, something of sacred origin or connotation. Maybe if you are familiar and you like to, you can visualize the Buddha as the source of light and brightness, or any other figure, or you can just do like me, just leave it as the source of brightness and radiance. But imbue that light with positive associations. Not only does it have the power to bring brightness and radiance into us, into our mind, into our body, but also all those things that we might associate, positive things, good experiences with light. A sense of love, kindness, of compassion, something uplifting, hopeful, uplift our spirit, brightens our day, something healing if it is appropriate. And you can also imagine other textures of experience. The light could be warm, if that's what you feel you need. It could be cooling, like moonlight. Allow the light to shine from your source, and allow all this visual image to arise within the space of your own mind, your own awareness. And let the light fall on your entire body, shining, touching, reaching every part of your body, so that your entire body is bathed in its light, in its glory, in its radiance and brightness. And feel free to meditate in your own way. It is perfectly fine to ignore what I'm saying, especially if it's not relevant or not helpful to you. I'm going to remind you and invite you to return your attention to go through the different parts of the body, so that each part of the body may open, be receptive to receive that light, that brightness. Allow it to come not just to the surface of your body, but come deep within your own body, and maybe even into your own mind, into your own heart. Let's start at the crown, at the head. Imagine the light touching the head, the crown, that everything is bathed in this brightness and radiance. You can almost as if you feel the light on your skin. With your eyes closed, almost as if the light is striking on your eyelids, and there's this radiant brightness filling up the entire space. Absorb the light, imagine it somehow magically flow beyond your skin, into your head, even into your brain, calming everything down for you, brightening your mind. As the light touches your face, is it possible for your facial muscles to respond to it by relaxing, by softening, by letting go of any tension, tightness, and contraction at your own face? See if you can not only notice the sensations at your own face under the light, illuminated by the light, but also appreciate any pleasant feelings that arise, feeling of softness, of ease and comfort right here at your own face. Allow the light to flow into your head, touching all parts of your head, so that you are also become acquainted, become aware of the sensations at your own head, awakening all those subtle, simple sensations. Allow the light to shine on your throat, touching your neck. Allow the energy to somehow flow into this part of your body, allowing you to reconnect with sensations here, to awaken sensations here. Imagine the light falls on your shoulders, on both shoulders. Imagine your shoulders receiving that brightness, that light, so much so that you are aware of the sensations at your shoulders. And maybe you notice tension, tightness, feelings of discomfort here at the shoulders, which is not uncommon for a lot of us. Allow the light to flow into areas of tightness and tension and discomfort, illuminating this part of the body, bringing them something really positive, healing. And see if we can simply acknowledge any unpleasant feelings, any areas of discomfort. If we do notice them, just let them be for the moment. Give your body time and chance to slowly, at its own pace, to unwind, to release, to let go. Feel free to move at your own pace. You don't have to follow my pacing. But each time I say something, think of it as a reminder, inviting your attention to come back here and now, to be this aware space, and to receive the light, the brightness and radiance, allowing them to touch and flow into your body. How about both arms? Allow the light to fall on both arms, and imagine receiving the light, the energy, the brightness, and anything good and positive into the arms, awakening the sensations in both arms, from the shoulder joints down to the upper arms. Light falling on both elbows, noticing subtle sensations even at the elbows. And how about the forearms, the wrists, the hands, the palms of the hands, the back of the hands, and the fingers, all the way to the fingertips. Awakening interesting sensations in the arms and hands. And now that there is a reconnection with the arms and the hands, see if we can give permission and allow them to rest their weight comfortably on their physical support. We allow the light, we become aware of the light shining on our chest and not just staying at the surface, but somehow miraculously penetrating, flowing into the chest cavity, touching the various organs, the lungs, the heart, going all the way to the back of the body, the back muscles, the vertebra, the spinal cord, filling the entire chest with a sense of brightness and radiance and any other positive associations and feelings. And how about your abdomen? Receiving the light, allow it to flow from the front all the way to the back, nourishing all the vital organs here within ourselves. Allow the brightness to shine on our pelvis. Allow the energy to flow into all the powerful muscles in this part of the body, as well as all the various essential organs, tissues, cells. As muscles relax, we can gently surrender the weight of the pelvis, the weight of our upper body. If we are sitting, surrender the weight to rest comfortably on the seat. Surrender the weight to gravity. Allow the light to shine on both legs, penetrating to the hips, shining on the upper legs, awakening very subtle sensations here in the legs. Allow the light to touch the knees, the lower legs, the shins, the calves. And also including the ankles and both feet. energizing both legs so that we are able to awaken the various sensations in the legs, at the feet. Now that we are aware of such sensations here, we can release the weight of both legs. Rest that weight comfortably on the floor or wherever physical support our feet and legs are resting on. So rest our body in the posture, allow it to continue to unwind, to release, to let go of unnecessary contractions and tensions, or throughout the whole time bathed in this brightness and radiance and light. And in the light, we can welcome any pleasant feelings, interesting sensations. Welcome them into our awareness. Allow ourselves to enjoy any feeling of softening, of unwinding, of easing, of tension and tightness. Feelings of lightness, maybe, lightness of body and mind. Even exciting, interesting sensations that arise within the body due to release of tensions, any buzzing, tingling, sense of warmth or coolness, sense of pressure. Welcome all those sensations that are illuminated by the light. Welcome them into our awareness, into our aware space. So we rest our body in the posture. We rest our mind here and now, with the body, with the light. And most importantly, see if you can practice resting your mind here and now as this vast, aware space within which all these things are happening. The light is shining, images are coming and going, thoughts arise and disappear. And see if you can be this visual aware space, allowing yourself to be aware, to notice all the changing phenomena happening within your aware space. Anytime we find our mind is preoccupied by our thoughts, overwhelmed by the thinking, see if you can, with the help of the light, find your way back to the space, back to your visual aware space. And on occasions, you notice the dimming of the light. The light seems to get less bright. Everything is darker, slower, more viscous. The mind is sliding ever so slowly into drowsiness, into downness, towards sleep. See if you can just acknowledge them. No need to struggle against it. If you can, brighten the light. Otherwise, simply allow yourself to enjoy the ride. Because at any point of time, you may find yourself coming back to wakefulness, back to the light. So I'm going to keep quiet for the last few minutes and allow you to have your own meditative experience. Okay, so there's a half hour of meditation. Some people, including myself just now, just because I'm using the medium of light, I actually have this mundane images popping into my mind. I say, oh, here you go. No, of course, the whole point of the meditation is not just to fixate on the image, but to sort of get a sense of the field of attention within which they arise. And that is what I've been calling the aware space. It's another way of getting acquainted with our consciousness, our own mind, which of course, as the definition, the mind goes, like what I introduced this morning, that which is clear and knowing. Maybe this session has not been very clear. So the clarity is actually quite crucial, but it's very hard to describe clarity. You have to experience it. But when on some days, even when you do visualization, it is actually, people always say the image is clear. It's actually more precise to say it's the mind that is clear. When the mind is clear, all this image appear vivid, full of details. In fact, I sometimes realize, wow, I didn't realize I know all those details. I didn't realize that there's all these bits and pieces, and things. But the mind, of course, we registered it. We may not be consciously able to access those details, but they do exist. And when the conditions are right, they appear spontaneously. There's the creative power, capacity of our own consciousness, our own mind. And here you can see, displaying, in different, telling different stories or whatever it is. Sometimes people have images in meditation. People always talk about nice image. Buddhas appear, lotus flowers, who knows what. Yeah. But actually, you can also have the opposite images. A lot of people, can see skeletons. Skeletons appear just spontaneously. A bit scary, but it's actually quite a sobering kind of thing. Then you wonder, oh, I didn't know I really know my bones so well. All these bones appear. Of course, it is when the mind is clear that all these appearances to our consciousness, not just visual, but can also be sound, can also be bodily sensations. Even thoughts can become more clear and more focused when the mind is in a good state, so to speak. Or in the space, when there's space in the mind. When we are very stressed, when the mind is very inundated with worries and concerns, of thoughts and fantasies, scenarios, you find that the mind is very cluttered. When you try to visualize, things don't appear clearly because the mind is overwhelmed by all this busyness. And also, we are not very creative because there's no space, in a sense, for different things to come up. We're just sort of rehashing the same old stories, same old worries over and over again. Right? So this practice of through mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feeling, coming to be aware of the mind, mindfulness of the mind, or at least even the mindfulness of the things that is preoccupying our mind, is very helpful for us to be acquainted in this way. But the last bit of this workshop, I'm going to talk about something a bit deeper, a bit more profound, that can come out of just this seemingly very simple meditation of getting acquainted with the aware space of our own mind, to notice it. And the important question, the inquiry here is, since it's a space and there's awareness, what lies at the very center of your aware space? Do you need a lump of things in the center? They say, I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm here, I'm thinking. Or maybe if you were to look into your own experience, there's nothing here. At the center, it's very empty. Wow. No. And that, of course, is an inquiry into our the very foundation of our experience, because we tend to experience the world, everything outside or inside, in the frame. There is a frame that has been imposed on every moment of our conscious experience. That frame is reflected in our language. There must be something called an I, the subject. There must be something called the object. And because the subject is not the object is not a subject, we need something to join them. And we have a verb in the middle. So I, sound, hear. I hear sound. I listen to sound. There's a chair. There's a visual object. So I'm here. The chair is there. Oh, I must be seeing the chair. So that frame, I'm saying, is a frame of reference or interpretation imposed on our experience. In fact, you actually, in this very moment, if you know how, you can chuck out the frame, and your perspective, the chair is still the chair, don't worry, it's not going to start dancing or doing funny things, but your experience can shift from this one perspective, which is, I'm here, the chair is there, I'm looking at the chair, I must look at the chair, I mustn't look away from the chair. So there's this separation, to one in which the I disappeared, drop off. Actually, it has never been there. It's just part of the frame. So you take the frame and you chuck it, and under the frame you discover another way of seeing and experiencing the world, another perspective that is actually much more original than the frame. In fact, according to child developmental theories, psychologists think that when we are very, very young, we experience the world quite different from how we experience the world now. As a very young child, you still have not learned to differentiate. You still haven't built up a mature sense of self. And so there is less of that dichotomy between what is self and what is not self. Right? So a child, in fact, till quite a few years old, is still in the process of learning to adopt this frame, learning to, which of course is important for our growth and survival. But underlying this frame of self versus others, there is a different perspective, in which, like for example, now I can just see, experience this whole field, my field of vision, as just a visual space. A visual space in which the chairs and all of you, the computer, appear in this space. And the most important thing of this experience is, if I were to trace it back to the so-called center of my visual field, the center of the radar, so to speak, I would be able to see that there's not a lump of thing in my actual visual field that I can say, oh, that's Wai Chong. Wai Chong is here, the chair is there. In my actual first-person subjective experience, of course, you see me, right? But I don't see myself, isn't it? I hope you don't see yourself. Otherwise, you will get scared. Oh, my face staring at me. Isn't that scary? No, of course, we all have a face. Don't worry about it. It's not going to disappear. And we all have a head. One typical way of understanding this is we always say, oh, I look through my eyes. And in our head, there is an image. There's just two tiny little holes. Right? I hope you don't see your actual visual experience is not like that. Otherwise, you should go and see a doctor. Right? Because nobody experiences the world literally like looking through two holes. It's not like this. Your actual visual experience is instead, somebody described it as a vast open window in which the whole world enters into your mind. into your experience. There's no holes, no little tiny pinhole that you look through. And when you have this, you realize it, like what I'm doing now. Well, of course, it's always been like this vast open window here in which the world appears, welcoming the entire world, the visual world, to come in. And at the center of that visual experience, it's very clear, it's very transparent. There is no lump of thing there. Right? There is no self, so to speak. Okay, that's true for seeing. That is also true for listening. Is there a listener in the middle? Listener must listen, listener must listen. No, it's just this vast experience of silence in which sound appear in the soundscape of your mind. Otherwise, for me, tactile sensation is the most common experience. And that's why I give you this image. I was talking about a radar. It's like, and then all this sensation just make an appearance, like aircraft, like air traffic control. Aircraft appear, disappear, hopefully for good reason. So bodily sensations just arise, and it's sort of like a fascinating kind of a feel of experience in which you don't need to keep tracking. Oh, I'm here, they're there, oh, they're there. I'm here, they're there. In fact, when you forget about the self, you let go of the self, you realize it's not needed. Which is why I call it mind and consciousness aware space. The two quality. There's a space for things to appear, and the moment they appear, they are known. They have been aware of. So you don't need. You don't have to have an extra person having to do the job. Oh no, sensation appear. Quick, Wai Chong, be aware of it. Go and aware of it. No need. It appears. It's aware. And why? Because that is the very function of mind and consciousness. So it might sound very abstract, but just to plant some seeds in your mind, that might facilitate that shift in perspective when it happens. So this final method, we are going to make use of my favorite, which is the breath. So I'm going to, so again, with the help of the breath, to practice mindfulness of body, lead to mindfulness of feeling, lead to mindfulness of the mind. And the breath has one advantage. There must be space in which we breathe into. I hope there's space. It'll be terrible if you breathe. It's not good. There's space to breathe into. And more importantly, there's a space where we release into. You breathe in, it fills up your chest, your lungs, your chest cavity. You breathe out into this vast space. So every out breath is a release into space. Don't worry about what you're releasing. You just release into space. And don't worry that it might clutter the space or it might pollute the space. Think of the space as having this special quality to accommodate whatever it is that need to be released. And our job is really to facilitate that process of release. So we release carbon dioxide, which is vital for us to let go of the stale air in the lungs. And then we can release, in the first part, unnecessary bodily tension and tightness, even unpleasant sensations of tiredness, and all those can flow away with the breath. We can release unpleasant sensations in order to make way for pleasant sensation of softness, of ease, of comfort. And we can, with the mind, we can release thoughts. Thoughts can go. We don't have to be so preoccupied with the thoughts. We don't have to be so preoccupied with the memories, the fantasies. Release. And as we put things aside, we let them go. It's like house cleaning, Like as you release your hoarding of all this stuff and you clear them away, slowly, miraculously, space appear. In a room, in a house, there is chock-a-block full of stuff. Then suddenly you notice, wow, there's a lot of space, useful space. Likewise, with this inner spring cleaning, it's actually spring, isn't it? Spring cleaning, space up here. And of course, the most important, if you can release, even temporarily, the framework that we tend to impose on all our experience, the framework in which we say there must be I, subject, there's something different called the object. That framework, when we temporarily let it go, we suddenly realize that we can function actually quite well without this frame. And that is a shift in perspective. Not sure whether it will happen or not, so don't worry about it. Just focus on releasing and then see what happens. See where you release your experience into sort of whatever state or whatever it is you arrive at. Yeah. So I'm going to invite you again with each part of the body. This is sometimes I call it touch and release. Yeah, but today we just focus more on the release. So each part of the body, I invite you synchronize with the breath. Not only are you able to welcome the sensations on that part of the body, the crown or the face, or the throat or shoulders, into your awareness, into your aware space, but also on the out breath, to feel free to release, to let whatever it is that need to go, to go. You don't have to consciously control that, because it's almost like we are piggyback on the sensation of the out breath and allow it to facilitate the necessary release to happen. Right, so we just go through the whole body, and then just like previously, we settle into our meditation, and you can use the breath also as a support, even in the last part of it. Right. So you can actually lie down, actually, if you don't mind. Hopefully the drowsiness is over. Then you can, in yoga, there's this pose called the corpse pose. It's very profound, shavasana. And when you are in the corpse pose, since you're lying down on your back, basically, you don't have to tense up your body. You don't just keep an upright position. So you can just let the whole body just melt and sink into the ground. And you can be surprised how profound the release can be. All right, so let's do some meditation. And, those of you who like to lie down, please do so. Good to put something under your knees to raise them up a bit, and that really helps to, you can use, just put it out. Yeah. Make sure pick some cushions to put under your knees, and just make sure that your neck and your lower backs are comfortable. So those of you at home, if you in the privacy of your own home, you can try the supine position as a practice. Yeah. So as usual, I'll be the only one upright. Need to warn myself, it's a long way to fall if I do fall asleep. Okay, let's get started. Take a few moments at the beginning of our meditation, check in to make sure that the body is well settled in a comfortable, suitable meditation posture, one that feels right for your body in this session. If you are sitting, we try to have our back upright in a natural way without tensing up the back muscles. If you're lying down, check that your spine is straight, and that especially The lying posture, lying down on the back in the supine position. Make sure that the neck and your lower back, these two parts of the body of the spine, is comfortable, that the posture has not introduced unnecessary tension, tightening, or discomfort. Good to make use of some pillows or cushions, maybe to raise the knees, put under the knees, you are lying down. That helps to relieve the lower back pressure. And also maybe place your head on a very low pillow. That might help you with the neck. So whichever way, just try to make sure that your posture feels really supportive and not creating unnecessary pain or discomfort for yourself. Rest the hands and arms on some supports. Lying down, good to just rest the two arms by your side, slightly away from the body. Maybe good to turn the palms facing up towards the ceiling. Those of us sitting, we rest the hands and on some kind of support on the knees or in the lap. Basically, we want both arms to be supported, not dangling in the air, which might lead us to contract the muscles of our shoulders. Feel free to close your eyes completely if you find that helpful. Of course, you're most welcome to leave your eyes open or half open, or anytime during the meditation, you can always open your eyes. So once again, sense into that support that is present here for your body, how the body at the points of contact between itself and the seat and the ground and the physical support is resting on. Admit into awareness, into our aware space, qualities of the great earth, qualities of solidity, of firmness, of stability, of density, of hardness, is fully capable of releasing all that are unnecessary and to find its way into a comfortable position. And within that comfortable position, I invite you to allow the sensations associated with your breath, the breath sensations throughout your body, to come into your aware space, to be noticed, to be sensed, to be appreciated. The sensations associated with the in-breath and the out-breath. And not to confine yourself to a particular spot if you can help it, but instead to appreciate that wave-like changing sensations moving through our body that we call the breath. Tune into the in-breath, and more importantly, sensitize yourself to the out-breath. Breathing in, we allow air to flow from outside into the inner space of our lungs, of our chest cavity. Breathing out, we release the stale air in our lungs into the greater vast space outside. So the breath is a movement between spaces. Coming back to the breath, allowing the breath sensations to come to the foreground of our awareness again and again. The breath will be our support in this meditation. On the in-breath, as we let something into our inner space, I'm going to invite you to allow bodily sensations from the different parts of your body, to allow those bodily sensations to come into your inner aware space. And on the out breath, Just as we release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, we can make use of the out breath to release anything unhelpful, unneeded, unnecessary. Allow them to flow away with the breath. And we can facilitate this process by, in a very simple, gentle way, reminding ourselves in our own mind with the word release each time we breathe out. Resting your body in your meditation posture here and now. Become aware of the movements of your own breath and synchronize with that movement. Don't feel that you need to change the rhythm of your breath in any way. If it is short, if it is fast, just let it be for the moment. See if you can, on the in-breath, let into your awareness, your aware space, sensations at the crown of your head, so that you become aware of the sensations there. And on the out-breath, remind yourself, your own system, as you breathe out, that you can release. Breathing in, be aware of sensations at the crown, simple sensations, nothing spectacular, a little bit of tingling, a slight pressure, a slight coolness, maybe nothing. On the out breath, release. Release from the crown, so that now you can allow sensations from your own face to come into awareness, to come into your aware space as you breathe in. Notice the different sensations here at your own face. On the out breath, release. Maybe some of the tightness at the face, tension, discomfort can flow away with your out breath. So much so that you welcome in a different feeling of softness, of comfort, of relaxation into your face. Enjoy any pleasant sensations, however mild or faint or transient they may be, when they arise from within your meditation. See if you can welcome them into your aware space and appreciate them while they're here. Moving on, and feel free to move at your own pace. Allow sensations of the neck and throat to come into our aware space as we breathe in. And remind ourselves to release what is unhelpful or unneeded on the out breath. Moving on, and moving down the right side, the right shoulder and arm. Breathing in, allow sensations from the right shoulder to come into aware space. Breathing out, remember to release. Coming back to the breath, allowing breath sensations to come into awareness. Breathing in, be aware of sensations at the right elbow. Allow those sensations at the right elbow to come into awareness and to release on the out breath. And how about sensations at the right wrist? Very unusual place to notice sensations at the right wrist. Breathe in, be aware, be in touch. Breathe out to release. Breathing in, let sensations in the right hand come into awareness. The palm, the back of the hand, sensations in the fingers, all the way to the fingertips. And remember to release on the out breath. See if you can release the entire weight of your right arm. Just surrender it to gravity. Allow it to rest comfortably on this physical support. Moving at your own pace, not have to follow my pacing. And move on now to the left side, the left shoulder. Breathe in, be in touch, be aware, letting in sensations from the left shoulder, out and release. Coming back to the breath, letting in sensations from the left elbow, out and release at your own pace. And next will be our left wrist. Breathe in to admit in sensations from the left wrist, out and release. Coming back to the breath, letting in sensations from the left hand as we breathe in, release as we breathe out. Be aware of sensations at the left hand, the palm, the back, the fingers. And as we release, give permission to release the weight of our right arm and hand. Allow them to rest their weight comfortably on their physical support. Coming back to the chest, we do get distracted during the meditation. There's no worries. We can always reconnect with the breath sensations. Breathing in, be aware of sensations at the chest. Breathing out, release. From the chest, we move on to the abdomen. Allow all the different sensations at the abdomen to come fully into awareness as we breathe in. Release whatever is unhelpful, unneeded as we breathe out. Release not just sensations and tightness from the front of the body, but as we breathe out, we also give permission to release anything at the back that are unhelpful, unneeded, unwanted. Reconnecting with the breath, breathing in, amid in, let in sensations at the pelvis, the weight of the pelvis, all the different sensations deep within the pelvic region. Breathing out, release. Release the weight of the pelvis, allow it to rest comfortably on its support. Moving down the right leg, starting from the right hip. Allow sensations from the right hip joint to come into awareness as we breathe in, release as we breathe out. Allow sensations at the right knee to come into awareness and release as we breathe out. Next, allow sensations from the right ankle to come into awareness. And on the out breath, remember to release. Allow sensations at the right foot to come into awareness and release as we breathe out. Release the weight of the right leg. Allow it to rest comfortably, easily on its physical support. Switching to the left side, allow sensations from the left hip joint to come into our aware space, resonating, and on the out breath to release. Allow sensations from the left knee to come into awareness, into the aware space. And allow release to happen as we breathe out. Allow sensations from the left ankle to come into awareness. And remember to release as we breathe out. And finally, allow sensations in the left foot to come into awareness. Sensations at the sole of the foot, at the top of the foot, sensation in the toes. Release as we breathe out and release the weight of the left leg. Just allow it to rest comfortably on the floor. on the support. Rest the body in this posture. Allow it to continue to unwind, to release, to settle down more and more comfortably into it. Rest the mind as the aware space, here and now. Welcome in the sensations of the breath, flowing in and out as a support, as a reminder. Breathing in, things can come freely into your aware space. Breathing out, and there is always opportunity to deepen the sense of release. Release what is unnecessary from your aware space. So rest here in your meditation with the help of the breath, and I'll keep quiet from this point on. Okay, so there's 30 minutes. This last method might have, at least for myself, it's a stronger effect of release. Yeah. Where you release to is a different story altogether. But I hope through the few meditations today and some of the ideas I present, this sequence of mindfulness of body, mindfulness of feeling, and mindfulness of the mind, and the different meditation to illustrate the idea. First one is just coming back to be in touch with the sensations of the body. Second is through the medium, the metaphor of listening. Third is through using visualization, the light falling on us. And the fourth is with the help of the breath. I hope maybe in your own experience, at least you will find one of them makes this whole process easier. I just want to emphasize this idea that this is not difficult, once you figure out a way, and that regardless of what you get at the end, hopefully you can at least notice in your own experience the calming of physical reactivity, the calming of mental reactivity, and also get a bit acquainted with your own aware space, your own consciousness, at least to the point of noticing, that it comes under the influence of different things. Some days there are lots of thoughts, lots of agitations. Other days there are a lot of drowsiness. The atmosphere of your mind is different weather conditions. I mean, here I didn't do anything to stimulate or trigger any. Some days like a storm raging, anger. Other days can be pretty down, dark, and depressing. And some days you're very excited, for craving, online shopping, waiting for something, parcels to be delivered, and of course, it can also be filled with wonderful things like loving kindness and compassion, warmth, and so forth. Yeah. But hopefully you get acquainted with this sense of space within the space of the mind, what I call aware space, which really is our mind itself, our consciousness itself. And hopefully one day you might actually come to a point where you realize that we are actually just that aware space itself. From one moment, from a moment you wake up in the morning, we are that aware space until we fall asleep and lights out. It's just moments where it's a much more, quite a very unusual perspective. Instead of thinking that I'm here experiencing things out there. In yoga, there's this idea, because we tend to have this idea that the body and the mind is stuff inside the body. And in practice yoga, sometimes you realize actually it's the other way around, that the mind is out there and the body is actually inside the mind. So at least the mind is liberated, not trapped in a little thing called the head. Yeah. And hopefully that might, one way or another, give you a sense of spaciousness and openness. Okay.
Thank you.
Sounds right. Very good. We still have the rest of the Sunday for other stuff. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. And enjoy the rest of Sunday. Was today recorded? Yes, you can find me on YouTube under VI's channel. Bye-bye. I should stay here. I'm not used to the camera.